What is up, YouTube? J2H back here for another video. I know it's been about a week, but I've been pretty busy. So today I'm going to go ahead and do 2012's A Year in TNA DVDs. And I'm going to apologize in advance for this right here. I don't know what it is. It's in my camera somewhere. It was before, and then it went away, and it's back. So ignore this part, and I apologize in advance, because it'll get annoying, trust me. But anyway, we'll start off with 2012 DVDs. I really liked 2012. I liked it better than 2011, and I liked it better than 2010, but 2010 is the worst year, I think, so it's not saying much. But 2012 Genesis. Nope, going backwards here. See, I like how they went to the old school DVD for this. I really do. You got Austin Aries, Sorensen, Zima Ion, and Kid Cash. Devon versus the Pope and their feud still. Van Dam versus Gunner. Gail Kim versus Mickie James. Bully Ray and Abyss. Always fun matches there. Crimson and Matt Morgan versus Samoa Joe and Magnus for the tag titles. Kurt Angle versus Cowboy James Storm. Cowboy James Storm was super hot, to say, as far as his push in this match and going all the way up to Lockdown. I think they missed an opportunity to put the title on him again, but I'm not going to argue because it was Bobby Roode. But he was super over in this match. And then Bobby Roode versus Jeff Hardy for the world title. This continues Hardy's year-long quest for the title. He doesn't win it here, obviously, but so Genesis 2012. And then we have the last ever twin pack here. This is volume 7. So you got Against All Odds 2012, Victory Road 2012. So we got Jesse Sorensen and Zima Ion, and this match is really, it's hard to watch. It's a good match, but it's hard to watch because this is when Sorensen gets hurt, and Zima comes off the top rope and like breaks his neck, or he does something like seriously bad, and it's, I don't know, it's hard to watch. They replayed it a million times, so if you miss it the first time or like seeing it, it's on there, but it's hard to watch. Robbie E versus Shannon Moore for the TV title. Gail Kim versus Tara for the Knockouts title. Crimson and Matt Morgan versus Joe and Magnus again for their titles. Aries versus Shelley for the X Division title, a pretty good match. Kazarian versus AJ Styles. Garrett Bischoff versus Gunner is skippable. And then Rude versus Storm versus Bully Ray versus Jeff Hardy. It was a pretty good main event. I liked the Fatal 4-Ways, especially when there's some goofy, you got Storm and Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy and Bobby Roode. So it was a pretty good event. Against All Odds was nothing spectacular. And then you go over to Victory Road. And you got, I don't know, they did upside down, or normal. They got Bully Ray versus James Storm in the world title match. Starts right off, and James Storm pulls out the victory, obviously, because he's on the lockdown cover there. Let's see if we can, close enough, I'll show you later. Aries versus Zima Ion because of the match over here. Joe and Magnus versus Crimson and Matt Morgan again. This time Joe and Morgan are the champion, or Joe and Magnus are the champions. Gail Kim versus Mickie James. Devon versus Robbie E for the television title. This was like, I think it was a random, that wasn't a promoted match. I think Robbie E called someone out and it's Devon. So Anderson and AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. This is their like year-long feud between Styles and Daniels and Kazarian. Jeff Hardy versus Kurt Angle is always good. I don't think it's as good as their No Surrender 2010 match, but pretty good. And then Bobby Roode versus Sting. Non-title match, but the main event because Roode was the champion. And pretty awkward ending with Dixie Carter and everything. Like, he makes her watch while he beats up Sting or something. I don't remember how it ends, but it's pretty awkward, So, the last twin pack there. Sorry, guys, I'm just getting over a cold, too. But last twin pack ever there. Then we follow that up with Lockdown 2012. This starts like, for whatever reason, every single one except Genesis. This makes sense because it's a 2-pack, but every single one of these are 2 discs. For what reason, I don't know. Makes sense for Lockdown, Slammiversary, and Bound for Glory because they are always 2 discs. But like Sacrifice, I don't understand. I don't understand their logic, but whatever. If they want to throw in more discs for the same price, that's all good for me. So this one we got some bonus material. There's all your second disc stuff. And then starts off with the Lethal Lockdown for this one. You got Team excuse me. Team Eric versus Team Garrett, which they don't say who it is, so I'll probably put an annotation somewhere around here. But Eric Bischoff versus Garrett Bischoff, and I think if Garrett wins, Eric has to leave. If Eric wins, Garrett has to get out of wrestling forever. The Guns versus Joe and Magnus. Robbie E versus Brother Devon. I don't know why they call him Brother Devon, he's just Devon. But he did win the title the last match. Velvet Sky versus Gail Kim. Matt Morgan versus Crimson. They obviously deteriorated at Victory Road, I guess. Angle versus Hardy again, this time in a cage match, I do believe. I think this one's still all cage matches. If it's not, it's still worth watching. Those are two of my favorites of all time. So, Mexican America, Rosita and Sarita versus Eric Young and ODB. Oh, the Knockouts tag titles. Yeah, they went to Eric Young and ODB. I think they get married in storyline too. And then Storm and Bobby Roode for the world title there. Your main event. This is a pretty good lockdown. I like the cover and the main event. But other than that, it was one of the lesser of the lockdown events, I thought. Just because I think that one starts where it's not all cage matches, but I could be wrong. Sacrifice 2012. Nice picture of Rob Terry there. Now this one we got... Nope, sorry, they're upside down again. So Daniels and Kazarian versus Joe and Magnus. I think they're the... I don't think they had a tag team title name, or tag team name yet, but... Gail Kim versus Tessmacher for the Knockouts title. Devon versus Robbie E versus Robbie T. In a pretty skippable match. I don't remember much about that. Except for how awkward it is having Robbie E and Robbie T. But Hardy versus Anderson in a rematch from Sacrifice 2010. Crimson versus Eric Young. Austin Aries versus Bully Ray is a really good match. Probably the match of the night, I think, for this. And then I say that, and they have Angle versus Styles. So, I mean, these three matches alone are enough for the whole pay-per-view. Minus some... you don't even have to have these on there. I'll just pay for these three matches. You got Aries, Bully Ray, Angle, and Styles. And then a ladder match between RVD and Bobby Roode. So, pretty good. I loved Roode's title run. That pretty much made 2012 for me. So, and then you got Slammiversary 10 here with all the wrestlers' names. Larry Zbyszko, Hardy, Jarrett, Raven, Steiner. All of them. 2-disc set for this one. I like how they did this DVD, I really do. Starts off with Aries versus Joe in a pretty good match. Hernandez versus Kid Cash for, I don't know why. The Robbies are back together versus Devon and Garrett Bischoff. RVD, Anderson, and Hardy in a decent triple threat match. Crimson versus James Storm. I think this is where he drops the streak. I think Storm pins him. Storm was super over for this too. I don't know, I think they should have put the belt on him again or something. But then again, like I said, I like Roode's run, so. Gail Kim versus Miss Tessmacher, and my favorite women's TNA match. That was a good match. I ended up watching it by accident, but I was super hooked too. Bully Ray versus Joseph Park, anything goes. Of course, that means Abyss shows up for a point. World Tag Team titles, Christopher Daniels and Kazarian versus AJ Styles and Kurt Angle. I think Angle and Styles go over here, which I'm never going to disagree with, but pretty good match there. And then Roode versus Sting. Kind of a goofy ending, but I liked it. It was goofy, but it wasn't wrong. It was a good ending, I thought. I've never seen that before, so it wasn't same old shit or anything. It was good. It was worth watching. Probably one of the rarest TNA DVDs as of late is Destination X 2012. Remember, I got a lot of 2011 in the first half of 12 in an eBay auction for $40. And then this DVD alone was going for 60 something. So I was like, ooh, yeah, grabbing that. So. So we got last chance match. You got Mason Andrews, Dakota Darso, Lars Only, and Rubix. You got. And then it goes right into one of my favorite TNA matches, my favorite X Division TNA match. It's got, oh man, I can't remember who's in it. It's not the X Division title match, but it's, oh wait, no. That was from Last Destination X. So you got the X Division Championship Tournament. Sorry about that. Then it goes to Joe versus Angle in a weirdly placed Bound for Glory Series match. I think that kicks off Bound for Glory Series. But anytime you see Joe versus Angle, it's good, right? So Daniels versus Styles in a continuation of their feud. Pretty good last man standing match between those two. I really enjoyed it. Joe versus Angler is on here again. They didn't wrestle twice, I promise, but that's hilarious. The X Division Championship match. Zima Ion, Kenny King, Mason Andrews, and Sonjay Dutt. I think I see. So the main event was actually Austin Aries versus Bobby Roode for the world title. And it says it up here, but it's not in the match listing. So I think that's why they have Joe versus Angle twice. Is it's supposed to be Roode versus Aries. But what a great main event. Aries was super over. They put the belt on him. It was a really. I really liked the main event too. I gotta admit. So definitely check out X Division or Destination X 2012. Super hard to find, but if you can get your hands on it, definitely grab it. And then I really dig this cover, by the way, for Hardcore Justice 2012. And I was really stoked for this event when I saw it on paper, you know, the matches. And I don't think it disappointed. I was pretty impressed. You got, now I'll tell you why, but you got Gunner and Kid Cash versus Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez. Man, I can't stand Chavo Guerrero. I hated his TNA run. I don't like anything about him. I think he's overrated, especially when they put him in here and they immediately put the tag titles on him. I don't know. So then you got a Falls Count Anywhere match. Van Dam, Magnus, The Pope, and Mr. Anderson. One of the matches I was hyped for. Kazarian versus Devon for the television title. Madison Raid versus Tessmacher for the Knockouts title. That was pretty good. I'm sorry again about my voice here. I didn't think I was this bad. The four-way tables match. Robbie E., Bully Ray, Jeff Hardy, and James Storm. One of the matches. The other two of the three matches I was hyped for. Kenny King versus Zima Ion. And then another one. AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and Kurt Angle in a ladder match. So between this match, and this match, like, they were just awesome. I love the pairings and the way they were done. I really liked those three matches. I gotta say, this might be one of my favorite events from 2012 just for that reason. And that's not even including Bobby Roode versus Aries, again, for the world title. So, really liked Hardcore Justice 2012. Probably my favorite Hardcore Justice by far. Alright, No Surrender 2012 here. Really like this cover here and the way they did that. Now, this didn't have a world title match. It had the fight, Austin Aries versus the Aces and Eights. They had a little, like, fight thing, brawl, I guess. So you got Joe versus Hardy in a semifinal. Storm versus Bully Ray in the other semifinal. Tessmacher and Tara again for the Knockouts title. Zima Ion versus Sonjay Dutt for the X Division title. Magnus versus RVD. The World Tag Team Champions of the World versus Styles and Daniels. Or Styles and Angle there. And then the Bound for Glory Series final. Hardy versus Bully Ray. This is after the fight and everything, so the fight would be like right here. Aries versus, I think it's like Doc or something. But definitely, we're not as good as Hardcore Justice, but not bad either. And then obviously it got eclipsed by Bound for Glory, but what wouldn't? So that brings us to Bound for Glory 2012. Pretty good cover, except for goddamn fucking Chavo. So Bound for Glory 2012. Starts off with Van Dam versus Zema Ion for an X Division title. I really liked Van Dam in the X Division. It might have been a couple years too late, but I liked the idea. Magnus versus Joe for the World Television title. This is right after they imploded. Storm versus Bobby Roode in a street fight. Really good street fight match. Joey Ryan versus Al Snow. Four corners match. So you got Chavo and Hernandez, Angle and Styles. Three corners match, sorry. And then Daniels and Kazarian. It was decent. You know. Terra versus Tessmacher again. Sting and Bully Ray in Sting face paint. Probably the coolest thing. It was hilarious. Versus Aces and Eights. And then Hardy versus Aries in a pretty good world title match. I really liked the lineup and the way they did all the matches. I think it ended really well. And then you got your Disc 2 stuff. So all in all, it was a really good Bound for Glory. I digged it. It was a good Bound for Glory. And then another pretty sick cover here. Turning Point 2012. Now this jumps right into the full Aces and Eights deal. I think half of them are unmasked and they're in every other match. So there's your Disc 2 stuff right there, which I still don't know why these were 2 discs. But Joe and Magnus again for the television title. You got Tara and her boyfriend Jesse Goddard versus Eric Young and ODB. Van Dam and Joey Ryan. Joseph Park and Doc. Luke Gallows, whatever you want to call him. Hernandez and Guerrero versus Bad Influence, The Affliction, whatever you want to call him. AJ Styles versus Bobby Roode versus James Storm. And probably the best match of the night, I thought, in the number 1 contenders. So that whoever got pinned couldn't fight for the belt until next Bound for Glory, which was AJ Styles. Devon versus Kurt Angle. You know. Kurt Angle can make anyone look decent, especially Devon. So. And then Hardy versus Aries in a pretty good ladder match, as you see here. I was really impressed with Aries in a ladder match. Although I don't know too much about Aries. I haven't seen much of his pre-TNA WWE stuff, but this got me excited for it. And then when it debuted in NXT, I went marked out pretty hard. So, and finally we got Final Resolution 2012. You got a pretty good DVD. I like it. I like the way they did this. I got this one for like $4. So you got James Storm versus Kazarian. I don't know why they booked him, I can't remember, but it was pretty good. Kenny King versus Van Dam. Matt Morgan and Joey Ryan versus Guerrero and Hernandez. I'm not a big Joey Ryan guy, but him and Matt Morgan were pretty funny together. I liked that. Aries versus Bully Ray. Another good match. Mickey James versus Tara. Kurt Angle, Garrett Bischoff, and Wes Briscoe versus Aces and Eights. Decent match. Daniel versus AJ Styles again. I know they wrestled a million times, but I liked all their matches. I could watch those guys go and go and go. And they did for the better part of a year, so. And then we round out the year here with Bobby Roode and Jeff Hardy for the world title. And I think this is a singles match. But this time with Hardy as the champion and Bobby Roode as not. They finished off the Hardy redemption angle at Bound for Glory with him beating Aries. So, I think Aries versus Bully Ray might have been even a number 1 contenders match. But, so there you have it, guys. 2012, A Year in TNA DVDs. And this is the last. I don't think I had all 12. No, there's only 11 because this is double. But this is the last year to have 12 pay-per-views. Next video there's only gonna be 4 for 13. So this will be the longest and last of the long videos, I promise. So thanks for liking. Thanks for sticking through the whole time. Sorry about my cough, sputter, whatever. But give it a like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the channel. Be sure to stay tuned for some more kick-ass videos, and I'll catch you later, YouTube.